One scholar has suggested that part of the goddess movements as a bird were circular. The myth of Isis and Osiris supports this conclusion. At one point, after having found Osiris encased in a pillar, Isis transforms herself into a swallow, flying around the pillar. The pillar, of course, is the Axis Mundi, the world tree. The movement may have been more of a spiral if the planet ascended the Axis Mundi while circling around it. The woman with the wings of an eagle flying through the wilderness will generally repeat the movements and actions of the lamenting goddess of antiquity. In Revelation, the flight of the woman as a bird is not in search for her dead son or lover. Rather, the woman is fleeing from the serpent to a place of safety. The final resting place for the woman was called her place. The wording suggests that the place was a specific location. In physical terms, this would mean that Venus will travel to a specific position in space. But her place is more than just a location. It was prepared for her by God. John does not describe the place, let alone identify it. Fortunately, the ancients knew the place and recorded it in their myths and legends. Her place was the motherland created by the serpent itself. It was the home of the gods and heroes.
From the episodes of disorder, a phase of celestial construction emerged, focused on the activity of the spiraling form, or rayed spiral, remembered as the serpent of creation. This was the expanded enclosure of the mother goddess herself, the motherland in the sky, the true subject of the archaic creation legend. The mythic home of gods and heroes lay within an enclosure formed by the body of the celestial serpent or dragon.
It may seem contradictory that the place that was prepared of God to protect the woman was an enclosure formed by the dragon itself. However, we must remember that the cometary Venus was both the woman and the dragon. If the woman is to have her place prepared for her, then this also presumes that the protective enclosure of antiquity will be restored. It also means that Venus will recreate the enclosure as before in a similar fashion. Unlike the ancient myths, John does not describe the process. He merely states that her place was prepared. It is to the enclosure that the man-child returns when he ascends to heaven. We know from John that the enclosure will be built, since he describes it in later chapters. The woman's place will be specifically designed to nourish the woman. Anciently, the circular enclosure was the Garden of Eden, where food was plentiful. When it is formed again at the apocalypse, it will again be like the garden, with the tree of life and its bounty. The symbolic structure looks like this. The length of the sojourn of the woman in her place is described by John in two different ways. First, he gives the number of days. Joseph Smith, in his inspired translation, changed days to years. The reason for this change will become clear later in our discussion. Secondly, John provides a formula for the amount of time the woman will spend.